Spectacular. One thing I appreciate about your playing is I don't just hear it, I feel it. And I sense, I hope, those of you online, that you can at least come at some point, because I know you hear it, but I'm not sure you feel the airwaves actually change in the chapel. That is a gift. It is ineffable. Thank you, Julia. Our scripture reading this morning is from Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, which we have already read together, but I'm going to repeat it to you. I am who I am. Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Curiously, in the Lamsa version of the Bible, we're pretty common with that I am who I am part, but in the Lamsa version, it's read like this, Aha Ashar Chai, which translates the living God. Not just I am, but the living God. Now imagine that message to Moses. Who do I say you are, great powerful being, great Yahweh, they said at the time. And he basically says, yeah, I am what I am. I'm alive, I'm here. As we would probably say today, God is, which is perfect for our panentheism view, that not is God is, but all is God. There is nothing else. So it actually intellectually makes sense as a response. I want to send a personal thank you to Tom Condenzio, because he reminded us several months ago that this is Gay Pride Month for everything, including Gay Pride. And I thought, that's a perfect thing, because the first thing I thought of was that I am part. I am many things, and that will be our exercise today. But I appreciated that nudge, because I find pride is just unbelievably beautiful. It's so well deserved. I passed a sign the other day just on a short walk, and it said, Orgullo de país, and it means in Spanish, proud of your country. And I went, oh yeah, that's true too. It had colors, it had the rainbow colors, but they were saying in this case, pride, yes, and also pride to be Spanish, pride of the country. We can be proud of our profession, a title, our family, proud of our children or our pets, accomplishments. We can be proud of our gender or our non-gender, or however we assign ourselves. We can be proud of our sexuality. There was just yesterday a beautiful service for one of our congregants, Luis Perales, and you might remember him. He was a gentleman. He sat here, pretty silver hair, or he would sit over there, always up close in front. We will do a prayer of progression for him later today. But yesterday at his service, I read this and I thought that is so perfect for Pride Month also. This is from Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. It is your first nature to be unconditionally loving. First nature. It is your second nature to choose to express your first nature, your true nature, consciously. What a beautiful message for pride. You love. It is your first nature. You are aware and you respect and are proud of that loving is our second nature, our expression of that loving. The more I thought about pride, I was thinking about the opposite of it. And oddly, when I was studying drama in London in the early 80s, mid-80s, I think, one of my final capstone projects was a project called Murder in the Cathedral. This was a play by T.S. Eliot, and it was about the murdering of Thomas Becket, or Thomas à Becket. He was the Canterbury, the Archbishop of Canterbury, of the whole church in England. And what's curious about the play is that he is visited by tempters, just like our first hymn said, the temptations, the tempters. And he's actually visited by 4 of them. And they represent different things. There's pride of pleasure that he has to deal with. There's pride of peer expectations. There's a lot of pride about power, not just in his own name, his gain, his fame. And then it really starts to ratchet up, and he deals with each of those. He goes, yeah, I think I am on divine ground here. But then the fourth tempter shows up and he challenges him and he says, yeah, but you probably have the worst pride of all. You have spiritual pride. You think that if you are martyred, not only maybe you don't care about the name at all, but you think you're better than everybody else. And to that, Thomas à Becket in the play does a double take. And he goes, yeah, kinda. I have to admit to that one. That there is a pride of spirituality. When we get rid of all the other proudnesses, we do kind of sometimes think, yeah, well, we know this and the rest of you don't. And he admitted to that. Not necessarily all of us, but that was the gist of the entire play. So how do we mark that difference? In a sense, that spiritual pride is what Moses was dealing with as well. He says, if I see you, God, how do I go tell people that I saw you, God, without sounding like a jerk? And how do we then distinguish that? When have we crossed that line? How do we avoid the trappings that Becket encountered in the play? Well, the first thing we do is we take note of it. So, in your bulletin, you will notice on the back cover, there is a list. It's got a bunch of dotted lines. Those of you online, you'll see it as well. And if you have, those of you have a pencil or something? Okay. We're going to start filling that out right here, right now. You can say what you're proud of. I'll give you some hints, but feel free to just riff on your own, okay? So we might be proud of something about humanity. That's right. Maybe about something about being human in general. Okay. Is there something, orgullo de país, something about the country that you are proud of? How about your community? Any community that you identify with? Are you proud of your profession? Maybe your title. You can just list whatever comes to you. It doesn't even have to be full sentences. How about family? Proud of nieces, nephews, kids, parents, siblings, uncles, aunts. Are you proud of any pet? Even though they drive us crazy. How about accomplishments? Either in your life, titles, awards, degrees, doctorate. What are we proud of? And this is fine. Let's keep going, but say this is fine. We're entitled. We have earned these things. This is how we've expressed our loving nature. Are we proud of our gender? Our non-gender? Our non-binary gender? Are we proud of our sexuality? Are we proud of our relationship with God? Are we proud of that? Now, since we are a spiritual organization, front and center, at the service yesterday, people asked me, oh, I thought it was just going to be a crystal shop that I was going to. And I said, no, it's a church. We worship here. We do the dirty spiritual work here. Get down to the truth of things. For 15 years or so, I've been making a list very similar to this. Now, if we're going to avoid the trappings of Becket, we need to adjust this list a little bit. I now want you to write, I am not only next to these things. I am not only human. I am not only of this country. I am not only of my community. I am not only my profession, my title, a family member. I am not only my accomplishments, my degrees. I am not only my gender, my non-gender, my non-binariness. I am not only my sexuality. And then you could almost scratch out the whole list then. If I'm not all those, what am I? If we scratch out everything on that list, what's left at the top? I am. I am. So I love affirmations. I love the accomplishments. I love the expression of each of your beautiful voices. But that is not us. We just are, just like God. Not God itself, of God. If we were born from God, we too can say, yeah, I am. I just is also. And that to me is what doomed poor Becket was, an over-identification with those. In other words, we fill out the blanks a little too quickly. I am, and then we put an adjective in there. Or I am, we put a title, which is beautiful. But then when we go to do the hard spiritual work, we go, yeah, but that's not it. It's not my essence. So what we learn, therefore, is that there's no reason, no explanation, no justification needed, no required proof. And I think that was the message to Moses as well. Not just a message to his people, but it was a message to the individual. You are not only a prophet, a leader, a liberator, the eventual recipient of the 10 Commandments, the Jewish law. I mean, if you look at his accomplishments, that's pretty good. But the message was also, more than that. Perhaps smaller, more humble. But the heart of freedom itself, the passage out of the metaphorical bondage of Egypt, is just, I am. That makes pride not only a banner, but at its core, a private bubble of divinity. Your own private blessing.